Hi everyone, welcome to another Port Jackson Securities webinar. I'm your webinar host Caitlin Chung, and today we are joined by special guest CEO James Brennan of Linius Technologies. Thank you so much for joining us today, James.
Thank you for having me here.
So today James will go through a presentation and then we will take questions from the floor. So feel free to pop in your questions to me whilst he's presenting, and then we'll go through the Q&A. Would you like to start us off then, James?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. I'm excited today to introduce you to Linius. From what I understand, most of you do not have a background in Linius. So I'm going to start out taking you a bit through our market and the market problems that we address, give you a high-level introduction to the technology, but then really show you the product, because with our product, seeing is really believing and understanding what it is that we do. So I'll quickly get to that point. Then I'll talk about our progress in the markets, our commercialization strategies, monetization strategies, and save some time at the end for questions. Okay, so first and foremost, we participate in the broad video technology category. And you know, unless you've been living under a rock, it's probably pretty obvious to you that video is everywhere on the internet. And it's growing massively, represents close to 85% of the traffic across the internet. Yet what we're finding is that video has had a harder time innovating than other types of media. And one of the primary reasons for that is the technology, the video file itself. If you've ever done any work with video, you'll understand that video files are large, they're complex to work with, relatively static and inflexible, and use a ton of bandwidth, processing, and storage. And at the same time, our expectations and our usage as viewers and as users, consumers of content, has changed. We're expecting immediate, quick, short, sharp information that's personalized for us. And we've been processed or we've become accustomed to that through every other technology that we use. So when we go to search for something on the internet, we go to Google, we search for it, we find exactly what we want, we get the personalized information, and it's even tailored to us based on our past searches and our past usage. So we've come to expect that. But the way that we distribute video today is the same as it's always been. What you watch and what you have access to is the same thing that I have access to. And it's what the broadcasters and what the distributors want us to see. And what we're looking to do is to enable true personalization by taking away the current limitation. So the reason that we don't get personalized video today is due to the file itself. So we can't get personalized video, otherwise there would be a huge explosion in storage, processing, and editing of video. That is until today. With the Linius patented technology, we've now found a way to break down video files to a more usable, consumable format, and we'll talk you through that. What our technology allows us to do, we work with content creators, content managers, distributors, and broadcasters, and we deliver a number of use cases that allow users and owners of content to monetize their content in completely new ways through deep personalization. And I'll show you what that looks like. We have a SaaS platform available today, a service up and running that is live with a number of existing customers, and I'll show you some of those examples. And we're generating recurring revenue from those existing customers today. And we power multiple different market segments that I'll talk about. So I'll dive into the technology just for 2 to 3 minutes maybe, and then I'll show you what this looks like so it becomes real for you. So what we do is we access traditional video files, and we access them where they live today. So in the case of our sports customers, they may have a repository of video for their back catalog that's in one storage location on one technology. They may have their current season and current games in a different storage location and file sharing system. Our university customers will have video in their lecture capture systems. They'll have video in their content library. They'll have content in their Zoom meetings or their Microsoft Teams meetings, for example. So we discover all of these videos where they live. We don't copy, we don't move videos, we just find them where they live and put them through a process that we call virtualization. And what we do there at a very simplistic level is interrogate that video file to understand everything about it. We break it down into kind of minute frame by frame data, understand where it is, what it is, file formats, and we create a data file from that. Very lightweight, very small database of information about that video file. We then layer on top of that video file or that data file, we layer on additional data. That could be data from transcription engines. That could be data from AI and machine learning that bring in optical character recognition, facial recognition. In the case of sports, there are companies that develop incredibly deep, detailed data about what's happening in the games. So they have it down to the minute, down to the second, who's passed to who, so-and-so kicked with the left foot, passed to so-and-so from the 50-yard line to the 40-yard line at exactly this point in time. So we take all of that data, pile it on top of our data file, and create a searchable database that can then be used to personalize video. So when you're looking for something, within videos, you do a quick search, and we can find all the things across all of those different video files and instantly stitch together a brand new highlight video, if you will, of all the things that you're looking for. So it could be that we play 20 seconds of video A, 30 seconds of video B, 60 seconds of video C, and we do that all on the fly, instantaneously, without ever editing, processing, creating, or storing a new video file. So that's as technical as I get. Sorry for diving into the weeds there for just a moment. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring up some examples. And this is really where the product comes to life and it becomes real. So this is a live website, a live deployment of our product that's built on our platform and developed by one of our partners. This is an English Premier League club, which is the top level of football in the UK. English Premier League team called the Wolverhampton Wanderers, or the Wolves. And this is live on their website, free for fans to use. So if you would like to check it out yourself, you can go to myhighlights.wolves.co.uk. That's available anytime. So what we do, we've got all the games from the season. I can come in and say, look, I want to check out some of the recent wins, some of the more exciting games. So I pick out a couple of wins, and then I click next. And then I can pick out my favorite players. This could be, you know, the top players on the team, or it could be just some guy that I particularly like. I follow him for some reason. Maybe I like defensive plays versus offensive plays. And if you think about it, people who are into things like fantasy football, they're already building teams of their own favorite players. And I can build out highlights of my fantasy football team, for example. So I pick the players that I want. And now I can pick the actions based on what those users or what those players actually did in the games. And obvious one would be goals. You would want to see the goals. But what we're finding really interestingly is that only about 10 to 20% of people's searches are for goals. And the reason for that is they're already seeing that content in the broadcast highlights. They're already getting that when they watch the game. Or they're already seeing it on ESPN or wherever they're getting their sports news. What they want now is more depth, more in-depth detail of the things that they didn't get to see. So we're finding corners and crosses and tackles are the type of things that people are really searching for. And now when I hit play video, you'll see that very quickly, in a matter of a second or two, I get my highlight video. So I now, examples, we've recently announced the release of our product together with another football team, but this is in the European League, actually in the Belgian Pro League, a company called an organization called Club Bruges. They have just begun using our product as well, and you'll see the language probably doesn't look familiar. This is in Flemish, which is not as common, but very, very similar user interface. And more recently, very interestingly, we've just announced that we're wrapping up a pilot with the English Football League, or the EFL. This is for their 3 leagues, 72 teams, and that is now in process of deploying with the EFL.com website and with a number of the teams as well directly. But you'll see here that we can jump in, and we've got dozens of games every week from the EFL across all of their teams. And we can jump in a couple of different ways to get to the action. I can jump straight into some of the statistics from the game. And this is just a different layout, a different view of how things are taking place during the game. So if I wanted to see all the shots by Millwall, for example, I can just jump straight to that. We've got advertising in here. This is now testing the ability to do ad-based monetization of it. We can get a timeline of the game and run through the different actions in the game, or we can jump into an individual player and pick the particular actions for that player. So just a couple of different ways that the user interface can be developed and deployed. And these user interfaces are developed with the client together through some of our partners. Okay. So now I'll come back to, kind of talking through the market, where we're at, what we're doing. As I've shown you, we've just gone through some examples of, where we're at. We've focused on a couple of core markets, and those are the sports market, education market, and the business market. And I'll talk about the applications there in just a minute. But we are now driving recurring revenue from those customers. We've got great feedback from the customers and the users. And we're doing this both directly and through partnerships. You'll see here we've got a number of additional customers here as well. So if I dive into our specific market segments, the market segment where we're furthest advanced is in the sports market. And we're really now at an accelerated growth inflection point for this business. If we look back a couple of years, about 3 years ago, we were outselling what we called Linius Video Services. This is our platform. This is our SaaS platform that any number of applications can be built upon. And we were out selling the platform into multiple different market segments. But what we found is that without examples and without products, we were struggling to gain traction in the market. So we decided to build out our own applications and show the market what was possible. We built out an application for racing.com in thoroughbred horse racing. We built an application for the National Basketball League here in Australia. We're currently deployed across the league there. You can go check that out on the nbl.com website. And then we brought in our first partner, a company in the UK called Swan Bay. And they developed a product called Match Vision. And the products that I just showed you for Wolves, Bruges, and EFL were all built by that partner. So we've proven that a partner can come in, take our core technology platform, learn from what we did with our initial deployments, and build a successful business and a successful customer base using our platform. So Wolves has been live for the entirety of the current 2021 and 22 season. That's been an initial rollout where they've continually advanced the product. They've done some test marketing, and they're really looking to roll it out fully produced and monetized next season. Club Bruges just rolled out for the beginning of the championship season of their season, and they'll roll it out more fully next season as well. And EFL has been piloting, as I've said, for a good portion of this season and seeing massive usage and massive growth from even just their internal usage group. So we've basically shown that we can go from a single team in one league to a second team in another league, and now moved on to an entire highly profitable and high potential league like the EFL. The EFL has over 500 million viewers worldwide in 150 countries. So it's really a next level of growth opportunity for us and for our partner Swan Bay. We then have immediate pipeline opportunities that are looking very strong and moving very far through the sales cycle. Those are being done in conjunction with our partners, Swan Bay, as well as directly. And then we've got 2 other partners that we brought on board in December in the US market that are really helping us open up that market. So the first partner is a company called McCormick Advisors. It's a small boutique consultancy, and they're out representing us as well as helping us, understand how to work with some of the rights holders in the US. And it's run by a gentleman named Todd McCormack, and his background is very, very deep within the sports business. His background is 30 plus years at a company called IMG Media. IMG is one of the largest sports and entertainment rights holders in the world. They own, dozens of global professional sports. And his father actually founded IMG. And he's been with the business for over 30 years, very well connected, really understands the sports rights market, and is helping us enter new sports and new leagues in the US and globally. We've then also brought on board an additional partner called AEST Partners. They're very much focused on the collegiate and high school sports market in the US. So if you look at college sports and high school sports in the US, the amount of video created and streamed in those 2 segments dwarfs pro football and pro sports. Just the sheer number of games, thousands of games every weekend across high school and college sports. It's completely different to the Australian market. High school and college football in the US is huge. It's nearly as big as pro in terms of interest, but there's thousands of games at every level. So we're working in Australia with some of the major sports here as well. We're leading those directly. We've got opportunities in the UK, Europe, and the US across multiple levels and multiple different sports. So we're confident now that we're proving out this market with the addition of EFL and the attention that that's going to bring, and the near-term pipeline that we have. We're really at a solid inflection point in our sports business. If we look to our second target market, where we are with that one, it's the same curve, we just happen to be a little bit earlier on. So we've got the same plan in terms of how we look to execute. We're earlier, but we're hoping with what we've learned in the sports market that we'll be able to move through that more quickly. Again, it's based on our Linius video services, the same platform that our sports product is built on. We know that we had to build a product right away in that market if we wanted to succeed. So we built that product, brought it to market, and we gained our first customer with the University of Newcastle. That product is currently in deployment. We've deployed the product. We've got the first use cases identified and built, and that's going live to the students this term and multiple more use cases and students next term. We have a team of experts that are focused directly on the ANZ education market. So we've decided to very narrowly focus on the ANZ university segment because we've got experts who know that segment very well. Personally, I've sold into the universities in Australia across 3 or 4 different companies, and I know the process, the politics, the timeframes, the strategies to be successful in that segment. And we know that if we get 5 or 6 universities in Australia, we then will very quickly have an opportunity to get 50% or more of the market. Because once they see a technology working in a small set, they'll all then need to have that technology. So we're focused in the near term, showing that same repetition that we showed in sports. At our first customer, second customer, and then once we get multiples, we'll be scaling further. We also believe in the partnership market in the education segment, but the partners are a little bit different. The partners are the technologies and the companies that are already embedded in the workflow and the student's life within the university. Those are things like their lecture capture systems, their learning management systems, their virtual classrooms. So we have an integration with Zoom already. We've just announced a partnership with Canvas, who is the largest market shareholder for learning management systems in Australia, and they represent 30 to 40% of the market globally. So essentially, what will happen there, instead of having a separate application, the students will just go into their learning management systems and will become a feature within the learning management system. sorry, and I didn't really talk through the use case in education. So to give a sense for what a student or a lecturer can do, I've got video across all of these different systems. And let's say that I'm a student, I've got an assessment coming up, and I know I have trouble in my economics class with a topic, balance of payments. So I want to go in and search for all of the lectures where my lecturer taught balance of payments. But I also heard from some of my friends that their lecturer was amazing, and I want to find his lectures. I want to go from previous years and look up another teacher whose lectures were amazing as well. And maybe I've gone to a number of tutorial sessions, or my study group recorded our Zoom meetings, and I want to go back and review those. And simply typing in the topic, I can go and pull up a 30-minute video of all the things that I want to see about balance of payments. And as I'm watching that video, if one of them really strikes me as interesting and I want to see more of that video, I can click into it and go forward and back within that video to see the elements that build up to that. I can then save that and resend that and share that to my colleagues. They can watch it and they can trim it and switch it up and resend it again. So it becomes this constantly evolving video as it's shared. So we believe with that strategy, we'll be able to drive towards wide adoption within the ANZ market, but then also globally, we have plans to move into global universities and in particular into the US market. And the initial entry into the US market will tie in very well with our sports market. So we're already entering the collegiate sports market and talking to a number of universities with our fan engagement, or in this case, it'll be the alumni engagement plan. So we bring in the sports product, and as we're speaking with them, that when they find out that we also have an education product, that just then doubles down on the value that the platform provides. So we're getting in the door through sport and pulling along our education business. So we've got great confidence that we've got the same opportunity, the same growth trajectory in the education market. We're just a little bit earlier on. So quickly, just in terms of our commercial models, we provide tremendous value to our customers. In the case of the universities, it's adding capability to the students and the professors, and they're always looking for things to differentiate themselves and to enhance the student experience. That helps them retain and grow their student numbers. In the sports segment, we're seeing huge increases in fan engagement from our existing deployments. One of our customer more than doubled their fan engagement and their video viewing on their own website. And viewer engagement is at critical levels now. That's one of the most important things. And pulling the fans back to the customer's website is one of the key targets that most sports teams and leagues have now. While they love YouTube and they love social media, the monetization that they get on those platforms is a fraction of what they get on their own website. So if they can pull users back from YouTube, back from Facebook, and pull them onto their own website with a really engaging tool, we've shown them that we can increase their engagement with fans, but increase the monetization of that as well. And the way that our commercial models work, we've got a combination of upfront fees to set up the integrations and the customizations. We have a recurring platform fee that gives us kind of a stable base of revenue. But particularly in sport, the real opportunity is in that usage and that upside. And typically we'll follow the monetization model of the particular customer. If they're doing ad revenues, we'll do a revenue share on the ads. If it's sponsorships, we'll do the same thing. We've got some customers that are doing premium subscriptions, in which case we'll do a user-based fee or a minutes-based fee. So we're participating in that large upside potential with our customers as well, while also getting that kind of stable baseline revenue. And in the long term, our strategy remains to be a platform. So if you remember, we started as a platform and we're selling as a platform, but we had to build products and focus on particular markets to prove it out. As we do that, we're going to continue to move up those curves within individual markets, but then our platform can be used to open up new markets. So we're right now balancing the needs of today to build specific products and specific market segments and to build repeat revenue and build a solid business there, while also keeping our eye on the future strategy of opening new market segments. And those new market segments can cut across multiple different video use cases. So we can create, products and capabilities and efficiencies in video production, transcoding and storage, protecting your video assets, and then delivery and play out, which is where we're focused at the moment. And then into multiple verticals. As I said, we're driving up the curbs in sport and education. We just launched our first business product, and we've got opportunities in media, entertainment, news, defense and security. These are all markets that we've tested and played in, but we know that if we're going to drive into those markets, if we're going to be successful, you've got to have a focused strategy. So until we have the opportunity and the time to either do that directly or through a partner, we're going to investigate those markets and look towards, what that next one is in the future. And that's everything that I've got for today. Just in terms of where the business is, sorry. So we just completed a small capital raise. You might have read in the market prior to joining the webinar. So last week, we just completed a small capital raise that's going to get us through the next round of commercialization. So we've got a number of opportunities in our pipeline and in the market that we think are going to really take us to the next level in terms of short-term revenue, but also in terms of long-term potential. Very large brands, very large leagues. So we raised enough money to just kind of get us through those next couple of deals. And realistically, we're going to be looking later in the calendar year to probably raise a little bit more money to drive to that next level of growth. So we completed that last week, puts us in a really stable position for the next period of growth, but there will be opportunities in the future to join in future potential raises. And with that, I will pause and open up for questions.
Thank you so much for that, James. It's so interesting learning about what you guys do, and it's so cool the technology that you guys have. I'll get started on some questions. And for those who came in late, feel free to pop in any questions you have into the chat box for me. So first question I would like to know is, when you are onboarding new partners, can you copy your technology and your product across different companies, or do you have to rebuild the software for each company individually? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
So especially in the sports market, most of our customers are typically going to look for something a little bit different in terms of user experience and as we move into different sports. So we do definitely see that there's a level of rebuilding that has to be done. But in terms of our platform and our APIs and SDK that we provide to partners, we provide, first of all of our API documentation, examples of what can be done with the different APIs, but then we also provide kind of combined building blocks, if you will, kind of chunks of functionality that can then be taken and built upon. So a search block, for example, a social media sharing block, for example, and you can then take those and build different components.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're trying to do as a company, we intend to go after some customers directly and to potentially build those ourselves. But a number of our large customers, particularly in the US pro sports, they will already have their own system integrators. They'll have their own digital marketing and digital media companies that they'll want to have build those products. But we are also looking for other system integration partners who would want to work with us and develop current markets and also potential future markets as well.
Okay. And when you were showing us the football example, I know one of the options was you could filter by the different players. Does someone have to manually sit there to firstly identify what each player looks like, or is that completely done through AI and machine learning?
So today, that is done by, there's a whole industry around sports highlights and sports statistics. So there are companies, Genius Sports, Stats Perform, Champion Sports. Their entire business model is based around creating data from every pro and even most collegiate sports in the US. They use typically a combination of AI and human-generated data. So today, there are some companies who are doing it purely based on AI, but most of the feedback from the teams and the leagues and the betting agencies, they're saying that the pure AI data is not good enough yet, especially in sports like football, where you've got so many people moving and crossing each other. AI works okay in sports like tennis, where the players are separated and it's easier to get. But what we do is we use that data that's high quality, incredibly detailed, and those companies will typically have anywhere from 2 to 10 people watching those games and marking every detail of every game. As I said, we get detail down to player X kicked with his left foot from the 50-yard line to the 30-yard line in the air to this other player who headed it. Like the level of detail is absolutely incredible. And the teams use it for training. They use it for, all sorts of things, but it's also used heavily by betting agencies and sports books and, all sorts of different things. So we're fortunate in the sports segment, there is a mass of high quality data that we can utilize.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And then going more into the education sector, can you tell us a bit more about your partnerships with Zoom and Canvas?
Yeah, so Zoom, we are a development partner with Zoom. We're currently listed on the Zoom marketplace. So we also have an integration for our education customers, but we also have one for mid-size and larger businesses that you can literally buy off the Zoom marketplace today. That integration essentially allows us to find videos within the Zoom marketplace and be able to search and recompile and assemble those videos just like we did for sports. The integration with Canvas is more the front end platform that students will go to. It's kind of the portal for all of their learning. They'll go in and they'll go into their particular course. They'll find the syllabus for the course. Maybe they'll get their notes from the teacher, things that they have to read. And now within that product, within that user experience, they'll now be able to search for the particular videos that they're looking for.
I can totally see how useful that would be, because when I was in uni and I had to find like a certain topic, it'd be so hard to manually go through all the different lectures. So this would be so useful. How would the security and privacy of students be protected, seeing as they could possibly be recorded and their data shared around a lot?
Yeah, so that is covered under the existing agreements and security policies of the universities themselves. So students, when they go into lectures today, when they sign up to the university and they sign up for courses, they're already giving their permissions for those sessions to be recorded, digitally archived and shared across the university. So they're already signing up to the fact that they may be in a video that's shared as part of a lecture. But that is a very important thing for the universities, that they don't want third parties getting access to it. And some universities only want students to have access to the courses that they're signed up for, or some of them will allow not only the courses you're signed up for, but also other lecturers' courses within that same school. So maybe within the business school or within the medical school. And all of those access rights and permissions are all managed through the learning management systems and through a standard called LTI. And what we're doing is we're adopting that same standard. If a student has access to a particular video based on their login criteria, we'll either include that or exclude that from our search criteria.
Okay. And I'll take a few more questions. Did you say that ad monetization was already in place, or is it something that's in the pipeline?
So the ad monetization is absolutely in place already. So some of our customers are already implementing that. So one of the great things about the way that we've done virtual video is to everything else, we look like a regular video. So to the websites, to the mobile apps, to the video players, our videos appear just like any other video. And when we use the same rules that any other video would. When the user hits play, based on where they are, who they are, whatever information they have, that determines whether they get played a single video up front, no videos up front, 3 videos up front, whether there's a mid-roll or a back roll. So we have that all integrated today. One of the advantages that we have is we can pass information to the website or the application around what the person searched for and present specific ads based on what they've searched for. So if I search for a particular player that's sponsored by Nike, for example, Nike might want to sell an ad in that player's video, but not another player's video.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned before that part of your revenue comes from some of the advertising. What's the split between Linius and the partner?
Yeah, so that's negotiated on a case-by-case basis, and it depends quite a bit on a number of factors. So it depends on whether they're building the application or we're building the application, partly around whether they're paying a high recurring platform fee or whether we've negotiated down their recurring monthly platform fee. But typically, just to give you a range, it's typically anywhere in the range from, say, 10 to 40% comes to us.
And I'm assuming that's similar for when you get revenue from their user subscriptions too?
Correct. It would typically, with the subscriptions, tend to be kind of in the 25 to 50% kind of range.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I think that's all the questions we have. If anyone has any questions they think of, feel free to email it to me and I will pass it on to James. But other than that, thank you so much, James, for joining us today. It was amazing to learn about Linius and what you guys are doing. It's all very exciting, the technology that you have built. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity and thank you all for listening.
Thank you.